Have you ever wondered what happens when you upload an image in a platform like Facebook or Instagram? How instantly it resizes your image, optimize it for different devices, and make it available to your friends in seconds? Well, behind all this, it is powered by serverless computing. And today, we are going to describe how all this works using AWS Lambda. Before diving into AWS Lambda, let me clarify you what AWS actually is. AWS or Amazon Web Service is a giant toolbox which contains different tools and services you will require to build, run, and manage applications without the need of owning or maintaining physical servers. Let me explain this to you with an example. Think AWS like an electricity company of your app. Just like you don't pay to build power plants to use electricity, you don't buy servers to use AWS, you just pay for whatever services you have used. There are different services under AWS, some of which I have described below. First one is storage service. Storage service is used for storing and retrieving files, images, videos, and many more. Amazon S3, EVS are the example of storage service. Second one is database service. It is used for managing and storing structured data like user information or product catalog. DynamoDB, RDS are the example of database services. Networking service. It helps your applications and user connect securely. VPC, Route 53 are the example of network service. And lastly, computing service. It is like the brain of your application. It helps you process and run the code. Example of computer service are EC2 and Lambda. Before diving into how Lambda actually works, let us compare two of the most popular computing services, which is Amazon EC2 and Amazon Lambda. Here I have taken few aspects for comparing these two. Let's go one by one. First one is server management. In EC2, you are given a virtual server which you have to manage all by yourself, like installing operating system, applying patches all by yourself. But in Lambda, you don't have to worry about server. All the server side work is done by AWS. Second is event driven. Lambda is completely event driven method, meaning it only acts upon certain events like API call or file uploading. Meanwhile, EC2 doesn't actually respond to event automatically. It runs continuously until you stop it. Third one is scaling. Lambda scales automatically, meaning if 100 events occur at a time, it will create 100 instances of your function and run parallelly. But in EC2, you need to configure scaling all by yourself using different scaling tools. Lastly is pricing. In Lambda, we actually pay for the time your code is being executed or run. This method is called pay-as-you-go pricing method. But in C2, you pay for the instances you provision for. Even your code is not running or is idle. So these are some uh, comparison of EC2 and Lambda. Now let's see how Lambda actually works. As I mentioned earlier, Lambda is a completely event-driven method, meaning it only acts on certain events like API call or file uploading. Here, as you can see in the figure, Lambda is being triggered by an event, then a code or function is being executed. Every Lambda function contains its own container. Think this like mm, every Lambda function stands alone as a Docker container. Before execution of any code, the function container allocates necessary RAM and CPU required to run the code. After the function execution is done, the calculation of allocated RAM and runtime of CPU is calculator, and these two, with the help of these two parameter, the calculator amount is given to users. So all this is all about how Lambda actually works. Now let us look at a real world example of how Lambda works with S3 bucket and API gateway to create an image processing system. Imagine a user asked for resized image from S3 bucket. S3 bucket is a secure place where images are stored. If the resized image is not available in the S3 bucket, it redirects the request to temporarily redirects the request to API gateway. API gateway acts as an entry point for resize operation. It triggers the Lambda function. After a Lambda function is being triggered, it downloads the original image from S3 bucket, resizes it, and put back the resized image in bucket. After S3, after resized image is stored in bucket, user browser retrieves it and user get the resized image. In the future, if same resized image is needed for the user, it user directly access it from bucket. Not no need of no need of operating Lambda function again and again. Here I have described the all the functions shortly. So this is how a Lambda actually works for image processing unit. So that's all for from my side for today. Thank you for your time. Myself Aditya. Peace out.